Hello everybody and welcome back to the Tales of Hybris. Today we are going to start off by diving into another theme by Junya Nakano, which is called Underwater Ruins, which is basically self-explanatory since it portrays exactly that really well. We are also gonna encounter our next leitmotif in the track We Are All Bad, again composed by Uematsu, like basically all of the leitmotifs, except for one that's kinda debatable, since it's based on rhythm and done by Hamauzu, but more on that in probably like half a year.
Something like that. We also have our first leitmotif reappear in a more festive fashion, which is not as easy to pick up as one might think. We'll finish up the episode with the melancholic vibes of Wandering, a theme that usually accompanies flashbacks or impactful story beats. And with that, let's get into a short story recap.
Alright, so last time we got introduced to the style of Junya Nakano a little bit, who does most of the ambient tracks. We also got to know one of the ambient tracks that actually Nobu Uematsu wrote, which might be the one and only track that he did. I mean, we'll see.
Possible.
We'll see as it comes up along the way. But the interesting thing about this is that we could see a really clear difference, even though both of them were supposed to be like really ambient and just underscoring an area. Nobu Uematsu still had a lot more melody in his tracks, as you pointed out last time.
Yes, he just can't let go of his melodies and his chord structures, and he needs them.
Fair point. And I mean, we can clearly hear in the newer Final Fantasy titles like 13 and upwards that style changed quite a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense since Masashi Hamauzu did like the 13 soundtracks,
Yes.
which do sound, as you said last time as well, really swooping and big, which is quite the difference to what Nobu Uematsu usually did. But enough on that. So story-wise, the last thing that happened is that these weirdly clothed, I say it again, these weirdly clothed people, everybody here in this area is like weirdly clothed, but like weirdly clothed but different.
But also maybe the closest to Tidus, actually.
I mean, we haven't met
in
anyone
this
else
style.
yet.
That's true, but as a general statement, I would say the Albed are the closest to how Tidus looks.
Yeah,
Clothing-wise.
that's true, which is actually
Somewhat.
interesting. An interesting statement to make.
I mean, okay, maybe we're gonna get there later. We're gonna get to Beside in a minute, so
Yeah,
let's talk
true.
about it then.
True. Alright, so we got KO'd by these weird-looking people, and now we wake up on their ship, and they are still quite hostile.
Yes.
And I was quite amused by like the first thing that the boss guy said. Let me see, let's go here. So we wake up. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. These people are
Kid, get die job.
not particularly nice to us.
Hey,
No.
that hurts.
Usujek, rain?
And
Whoa.
now the boss seeming guy, I guess, comes up and he says something that sounds like... Where is it?
Penis.
Sorry, I'm so grown up. That sounds like penis, okay? I'm amused easily. And he tries to talk us into,
Right,
like,
whatever.
with body language, trying to show us, like, probably to jump in and do something. He hands us glasses, but we still have no idea what he's talking about,
I said I don't understand.
since they're talking a different language.
Yeah.
And again, really nice people.
Yes. And yeah, maybe just to
Think you
point
can
out,
stay if you make yourself
if you have your
useful.
first playthrough of the
You-
game,
you
you
understand
cannot
me?
actually read what they say in the subtitles.
I'll cut that out
All
anyway.
right, I'll work.
I'll try. And yeah, the girl,
We found some ancient ruins right beneath
she can
us.
speak our language. But
not
before
after
we
that.
move on here, before she actually tells everything that we got here, there she explains to us the level progression system, which is called the sphere grid, which we talked a little bit about that last time, which was supposed to be like in the very beginning, supposed to be tattooed as a character progression on the skin of the characters. And yeah, it looks really cool with like this kind of chess looking vibe it got.
Yes, yeah. I really like the visual progression you can do on, and just like moving your character like a piece on a chessboard across the whole thing. It's just, it has a nice touch. It has a nice sense of progression, I think, which is just
Yeah.
I like it more than just okay, one more point here, one more point here, one more point here.
And you can actually see where you're going.
Yeah.
You know what's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
I mean, there's games where you can see that like in the next level, next 5 levels, you're gonna get the next like ability or whatever. But I think this is a really nice and clear representation of a level up system. And also you can see kind of the same thing in Final Fantasy 13, where the same group of people actually worked on this. It's called the Crystarium there, and yeah, a little rant right there. It is like level capped, so sometimes you just can't move on to like the next area above or whatever, because you have to beat the next boss to progress. Which is kind of fine, I guess, but I just don't like it.
No,
Okay,
and
I mean-
I know that a lot of people do like the fact that if they want to, they can just overlevel,
Yeah.
then just easily beat a boss without any hassle.
There's also like so many is an overstatement, but there's quite a few videos of people completely overleveling themselves in like the first area of the game. I mean, I've seen somebody in the first area of the game in like this underground kind of thing in Final Fantasy VII, grinding up to like level 99 or something ridiculous.
Which takes so much time.
I think it took that guy like a year or something,
How's
which
it
doesn't surprise me at all. But yeah, that is completely unavailable in Final Fantasy 13. Okay, rant over, which has nothing to do with Final Fantasy 10. That's another tangent once again. But yeah, I feel like the Prelude theme that is accompanied by, or not the Prelude theme, the tutorial of the Sphere Grid is accompanied by the Prelude theme, which we heard before, this kind of remixy version of the original Prelude theme.
Yes.
And I feel like it works really well as a tutorial theme as well underneath. Like this really upbeat, happy kind of thing to get to know how the actual level progression works. I really like it.
Yes, I agree. And also, I kind of like that this, as the tutorial somewhat is a thing that happens outside of the world. Like it's not diegetic
Yes.
in-game. I kind of like that they then choose a theme that also spans across other Final Fantasies.
Huh. That's a really good point.
I'm not sure if that was like intentional. Maybe someone was just like, yeah, this is good tutorial music. There you go.
I mean, it doesn't have to be intentional. Sometimes it just is intentional at the moment it works.
No, yeah, we'll go with that.
But yeah, that's a really good point. I never thought about that because it does sound completely otherworldly to everything else we're gonna encounter.
Yes.
This is the only thing that sounds kind of like radio remix-ish, as we said last time.
No.
This as like the tutorial, which is completely coming from the outside.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
It's not diegetic to the world. It's absolutely a different thing. And so yeah, to me it makes sense that they choose some music that does represent that in a way.
Good point. All right, and now we get to jump into the water and explore the underwater world, accompanied by another theme that is done by Junya Nakano, called Underwater Ruins. Down there, we dive into the water with the girl and the other guys around, and we're clearly trying to find something. And also, we get, in a little bit, we get to see Tidus the IT tech, and how to get rid of a blue screen of death.
Yes.
Which is kind of funny, but yeah, I think let's talk about the theme a little bit, because there is like, when it comes to, I think, musically, again, not too much happens, since this is supposed to be like more of an ambient track again.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, he agrees. That's good.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
and
again, it's like one of those more modal tracks, which stays in like one key, basically, for the most of the time. In my notes, I have B minor. I hope that's correct.
I mean, let's try it out. I switched over to Cubase, and I do have quite a few notes of like remake versions. Remake versus original.
Ah, yes.
Language. That is good. Let's try to talk clearly again.
Yes. Articulate, my boy.
My boy! And don't clip the mic! We actually, I think, okay, we couldn't even clip it.
Nice.
What the f are we talking about again?
We're just proud of ourselves that something's working.
We're not gonna talk
Basically, I'm proud of you because I can't make anything work.
We are not gonna talk about the sad time.
No. We came in here, took half an hour, and we're done. We're professionals.
Anyways, underwater room.
yes.
Alright, so I'd say let's just, do you want to start with the original or the remake?
Let's go for the original, maybe.
Alright.
At first.
Alright. So we got like this bloopy synth going left and right.
The pingy.
Yes. Which I think is already really cool because it has a water drop. kind of
exactly.
vibe.
Absolutely agree.
And now we got like this. Ooh, that actually only now comes to mind. That sounds like the movement of the ship.
True. You're right.
This is like
You're right.
machine kind of movement. And also these really like wet sounding atmospheric pads that remind me quite a bit of the atmospheric music of Donkey Kong Country.
I can see that. Didn't make the connection myself, but yes.
I mean, I only made the connection because 8-Bit made 8-Bit it was made a cool video about like the atmospheric
I see.
genius of Donkey Kong Country.
Yes. It's the
So
B minor. Yeah, so you just have the B. And again, it's like another track where the same thing applies. Whereas, like yes, you have the B just going through it all. You now then have the higher thing that comes in, which also is like the single note. Okay, no, that changes a bit. Actually,
I also had like the one note thing in there, and I was like, no, that's not true.
it doesn't work here, but it's somewhat. But yes, again, it's this. It stays on the B in the bass basically, and the chords above it change a little bit. Has a little bit of movement, but also very, very ethereal sounding.
Yes.
Very like there's no clear melody in any way.
And also there's another dissonant one.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which I
That's
only just
coming.
realized. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the B5 to the bottom note.
Oh, that's like the tritone.
Yes, exactly.
See?
Yeah,
Sometimes I know things. Yeah. And what I really like about this track is that it does exactly what it says in the title and what it's supposed to do. It sounds underwatery with every sound he put in there.
Yeah.
Which I think is such a good thing if you're a composer trying to compose something atmospheric, trying to really capture the atmosphere, which I think he did perfectly here. Like we got these, as we said in the beginning, these bloopy sounds, then these really interesting like machine sounds that also sound underwater. There is no real high end in there.
Yeah, and
Like high end.
they sound so far away. It's like
Yeah.
way in the back. It's happening somewhere, and there's all this delay and echoey reverb
especially. Yes.
on it, which says, yeah, it sounds big in a way, but not like in your face big. There's something big in the background happening.
Which perfectly like captures the depths that we're going to explore here.
Yes.
And also a little bit of like this mouthy synth sound again. Where is it?
Yeah, it's a little bit in there.
I mean, I just love that.
Yes, yeah, some chords movement in the synth, but no melody again, as we said.
Anything else? All right, now I'd say let's move on to the remake. Because the remake does sound quite different. Let's just go back to the beginning. We had like these bloopy left-right soundings in the original.
Yes.
These things, just a quick reminder. And in the remake, we also have those, so it starts off quite similar. Also, already some sound effects going left and right there. Just a little bit. More bloopiness.
And
The ethereal, creepy sounding, which is actually really cool. Everything is further away.
yeah, even further away, you're right.
And these crystal shiny things.
Yeah, so it sounds like the furthest away organ.
Yeah. And now we got like this dangerous low pad note in there again. Yes, I'm gonna say drone note this time and not drown note. Drone note.
Drown. Astronaut.
And I feel if we switch over to the original, it's such a big difference.
Yeah, and again, we have the same thing with like almost every track. And at some point, we're gonna stop pointing it out because I think it applies to everyone. But it's always the original is, from a mixing perspective, way more in your face. Everything's way more
Yep,
upfront.
it is.
And especially in this track in the remake, everything's even like this is so far away.
Yeah. But the choir is quite from front.
That's true.
Which I think kind of misses the point a little bit compared to the original.
Yeah,
It gives a cool atmosphere,
or
but
at least it sounds more up front because everything else is so much in the background. Like it doesn't really blend in.
But it doesn't. Yeah.
The other one. It stands. It's
But the creepy choir comes in a bit more. So there's a bit more of a Zelda vibe again, I'd say.
yeah, I can see that.
I mean, every creepy sounding choir has a Zelda vibe to me. So,
Power of association.
yeah. I mean, this is one of the things that I noticed about like Zelda even when I was way younger. But yeah, I feel like these two sound so different again. And I couldn't really say which one I like more. Because like, if we go back to the original, it's way busier.
It also, I mean, both don't really have something like a melody.
Yeah.
But the original one has at least a little more of something like this.
You can hear.
And then this, which we thought was gonna stay. Yeah, these movements, and I think the movements. Yeah, and then the chromatic went
later.
down at some point.
Not yet.
No, not again. Up, but that's later. And
We have that a lot clearer here with the choir, I feel.
Sure. Yes. That stands out way more.
And especially creepy chord. I like that. And like the moving itself is cool, but I still feel like the underwater kind of thing. Also with I only just realized that. That's like in like a submarine kind of.
Yeah, like a sonar.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So yeah, again, I'd say this is again one of the choices that comes to the sound team. Because both of them have their place. Both of them kind of deliver a different vibe. And I feel like this one just sounds a bit more underwatery to me. Because everything here sounds underwater.
True. I agree. In the remake, sounds more lonely, I guess, or more empty.
Yeah.
In a way,
It does.
just this single choir thing coming up at some point, and then it's again to this very, very backgroundy things that are so quiet. Like the whole percussion is way quieter.
That's true. All right.
Also going left, right.
True. That's panning left, right. See, that's the minor details that I didn't even realize until now.
I have the same thing. Like every time I listen to some tracks again, it's just like, oh, I never heard that one. Nice.
Power of Junya Nakano. Yeah, but he really does that well, hiding things in the background and like after. This is actually that works perfectly with his statement about like everything has to sound good after repeated loops again, because you can always find something else in this track. Depending on where you are, because there's a lot of sound effects or dialogue over basically anything in this.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. I guess we can move on from this track, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And I just want to go to Tidus DIT tech, because I think that's funny. Alright. So... Alright, yeah, and then there's another boss fight there. I think we talked about like enemy attack last time.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go in depth with this as well. So basically we go exploring into the underworld, or underwater world, basically. And we're following this chain and finding this thing right there. Moving on, then we're inside. Everything is quite technical in there. First of all, yeah. This, just punching. Punching things make them work. Every computer proved that.
Yes.
Whenever something's loading, just hit it. That always worked. See? Even here.
Yes.
Even in a fantasy setting. And this is so overly dramatic with the red.
Yeah.
I don't get it, because like a second after this, it turns to like a normal color again, which is kind of like, why? I mean, that's also not a really creepy boss. I mean, they wanted to give like this really creepy vibe, but yeah. Okay, so boss fight. Let's skip that. That was a bit too far ahead.
I mean, I guess that the first time you play the game, it is a little creepy, like also because you really don't know how strong it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You don't have a level of comparison yet. Like your second time, you just know, okay, it's very easy. It's not really gonna do a lot to you. But
it's
the
like
first time, it's like, okay, well, shit.
That's true. All right, but
So chasing around the room, there's this little gimmick in the fight. where
Yeah.
You can change positions and all that.
Was it before?
You mean the tech thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was before that. When we were like, at the scene with the screen.
Yeah. Oh,
Somewhere
there
here.
it is.
Yes.
There it is. It's cut out here.
Okay.
I'll cut it in. I'll cut it in. We'll find it. Alright. So we find the boss. We uncover things that we didn't find before. We were looking for like this thing underwater. We're swinging out of it. Everything is lit up now. And take a look at this thing now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously, if I'm gonna note that, point that out. That's something you can see a bit later in the game again. Otherwise, I wouldn't point it out,
Yes.
which is kind of obvious. You can't really see it here yet, but when it zooms out a bit more... So excited. Where is it? Alright, moving back. A bit more of like this atmosphere of like the underwater world. And yeah, again, there is kind of a reason why these people can breathe underwater. It's basically like they can hold their breath really long. Because these people are out there excavating a lot, so they train that. And as some NPC later says, blitzball players are trained to hold their breath for a really, really long time.
Yes.
So there is gonna be a scene coming up in a bit where I'm explaining this because in this next scene we are going to see Tidus in the water again for a bit. For quite a long bit. And I think this is the scene that I meant. Go on.
Also, we have Out of the Frying Pan again.
Do we?
Here? Isn't that what's playing in the background?
No, that's still underwater ruins?
No, that's not underwater ruins.
True. I didn't even note that.
That's Out of the Frying Pan.
You're right.
definitely.
Out of the frying pan again. Okay, we didn't see it now. Okay, I'm gonna cut it in. And now we are back on the ship. And we are really hungry. Yes.
Fafutra airship.
Oh yeah, back on the ship. The people, we... This is kind of funny. Like shaking off like a dog. Yes. I really like that. And now we're like, yeah. Okay, let's move back in. Like, nope. Off.
Hey!
Not for you.
Hey, I helped out, didn't I?
Not enough.
Nope. We only beat the boss and you guys just swam outside. Didn't do a thing.
Yeah, whatever.
There was a girl and me who did all the things. And yeah.
Hungry.
He's so eloquent.
Yes. And then we're kicked. But it was a kick with love. Because she brings us food. So that's kind of nice.
Yes, and we have our next theme.
Whoa!
Yes.
Right on.
We eat, but kind of die while eating. So natural selection nearly worked its way here. I was so funny when writing this part. Then we get to know her a little bit and get a bit more insight into Tidus' character as well, as he flirts with her a little bit, and he's just genuinely happy that she understands us, which is going to come up in a little bit. And he also laughs pretty creepily in a bit. But yes, we got the next theme right there, which is another one by Uematsu.
It's because you eat too
And
fast.
you can hear like this really strong emphasis on the melody again.
Yes.
Because this is basically our third leitmotif that comes up. I mean, we got the very first track we heard, the Anakin track. Then we had Tidus' theme. And now...
Oh, you mean the third
What
by
is your
now?
name?
Okay, yeah.
The third by now,
Got it,
yes.
yes.
Riku.
And now...
We get the name.
Yes.
You really do understand.
This is such a cute scene.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we get an insight into like this really like... I mean, he's 17. And it clearly shows here.
Yes, he's
Like,
17
yes,
and
yes.
also he's just stranded somewhere far away in the middle of
Why didn't you
nowhere
say
and
so
he finally
earlier?
found someone
get a
he
chance
can
to.
connect
Everyone
with
thought
and
we were a
exchange at least a few words.
Yes. Also, this is kind of cool. Like, we were a theme.
We?
Oh, we means you.
Which is a kind of cool thing because she's like bilingual. And this is something that happens to bilingual people. We had that before.
Yes.
Are
Not
you
that we
guys
are directly
anyway?
bilingual, but yeah.
We're Al Bed. Can't you tell?
And we get an insight into like that these people are
Wait,
Al Bed,
you're
called
not
Al
an
Bed,
Al Bed hater,
which
are
is
you?
a different
I
kind
don't
of
even know
people.
what an out
We got the
is.
first butt shot.
That's
Where are you
one of
from?
too
She
many.
is close.
Anarchin.
She is no, it's the second butt
I'm a
shot. We had
blitzball
the
player.
other one in
Right.
too many of them.
Yeah, the game has too many of
Star
those.
Like this is
player
such a
of
cool
the
he's like,
Xanarkin
star
Apes?
player of the Xanarkin Apes.
Hit your head or something?
Not what you wanted to hear. This is so cool.
You guys hit me?
I like that. And here
Oh, right. Do you remember anything before
We got
that?
like the first story twist and the first explanation.
Yes.
And we got another example of the music cutting out to create more drama.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's gone here. He
So I
explains his
told
story
her
now.
everything there was to tell about Xanarkand.
In his off
About
voice.
life there,
Yep.
Blitzball,
So this
and
is-
Sin's attack. And about how
Yes, that's
Aaron
his
and I were
narrator
engulfed
voice.
in this light.
Yeah.
I just said things as they came to mind. But then I started to wonder.
And the music comes back, which is, I think, really strong with this light-hearted theme that this is.
Did
And also,
I
this theme is called like "We Are
say
Our
something
Bad," like
funny?
written in the way that she just pronounced it.
Yes.
You were near Sin.
And we got like the first explanation of why we might say funny
Don't
things.
worry, you'll be better in no time.
Exactly,
They say
which
your
is
kid
something.
gets funny when Sin is near.
Because if you get
Maybe he
close
just
to
had
sin,
some kind of
there's
dream.
like sin's toxin, which could make your head a little bit foggy and weird. So this is like
You mean I'm
makes
sick?
Tidus even more
Because of
confused.
Sin's toxin. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, they're throwing
sure?
around all these words and
Yeah.
they
There
apparently
is no
have a
Xanarkand
reason
anymore.
for
Sin
him
destroyed it 1,000
being that
years
confused.
ago.
And yeah,
This-
that's the important part.
Yep. And
So no one plays Blitzball there.
music cuts out again. The first like really big drop. Or sorry, is it like
Yeah, we're like,
What's
what's
going on?
happening?
yeah.
What do you mean, 1,000 years ago? But I saw Sin attack Xanarkand. You're saying that happened 1,000 years ago? No way.
I really like his voice acting reaction here. And I feel like this is... Okay, let's just pause right there. Because that's another thing that's kind of interesting about the voice acting, which is one of the last things I'm going to say about voice acting. But
think so, but I don't think so.
I'm probably going to say way more again, but let me try, okay?
I'll give you a chance.
Anyways, just shut up. What I wanted to say is Tidus' voice actor, James Arnold Taylor. I just wanted to say I know the name, but then I choked on the name. James Arnold Taylor. Pronouncing things again. Anyways, James Arnold Taylor. I couldn't pronounce it again. That guy, his voice actor. that guy here. Like, or here. That guy.
Yes.
Anyways, his voice actor didn't read the script before actually recording it. So every reaction that Tidus shows here is basically genuine because he didn't even know what's gonna happen.
Nice.
Which is another thing, yeah. I am going to point it out again, I'm sure. Anyways, I really like the way that it's voiced because he didn't know what's gonna happen. So his reaction is like a genuine reaction of the voice actor, which is something really cool.
That's cool. Didn't know that.
Alright, so let's go into the track a bit more, I guess.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit. Like, one thing I like in the very beginning of the track, before like the main theme even sets in, like one of Uematsu's intros.
Oh yeah, it's another one of those.
There's like, I love how there's a little, I don't know how well everyone is going to be able to hear it, but there's a little counter melody going on
Let's check
underneath
it.
the main theme above it.
I'm just gonna play it and you point it out.
Yes.
I think that's gonna be the easiest. I didn't want to cut you off. But I
No,
did.
it's fine. There is nothing more to say.
Good.
You have this. And this, it's at some points it's
I didn't even hear that. Now? Da, 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 da,
Yep.
da. Ah,
and I like that at some point it creates
Right.
this tension because the main melody starts at the, that's the main one,
Uh-huh.
and so basically what you have in the beginning is this
Oh.
sound. Like goes in the it moves down here and moves up in the upper one, and so you have these like,
So it's...
no wait, that's hard. Wait, what? So it's like, especially in the beginning, you have
Ooh.
these, and then
So these are basically like a minor second, which means like two notes exactly next to each other.
Yes,
Which
only
makes
half
them
step
sound
away.
really dissonant.
and it ends on like this sound,
It's like...
like a little cluster
Okay.
sound. But I love that. That's
Interesting.
something that Uematsu, it's gonna be in later tracks as well. He sometimes does that, where his like the main melody is really like a very harmonic, not dissonant, and nice sounding melody. Then sometimes in the like little more in the background, he has at some points has these like little seconds, small seconds, and all that. They create this little bit of a tension.
Interesting.
So at least for me, I like that because it makes sure that it doesn't sound too cheesy.
True.
At some points, just has this little it's just a little of nuance in the sound.
Also, I feel like it's an interesting choice to really take like the minor second, 2 notes next to each other, because you could just use this note an octave up, which is that right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And this sounds way less dissonant.
Yes, it's a major 7.
Yeah.
But putting them right next to each other, you really have this very, very high point of tension in a way. But it's also not distracting.
Not
Like
at
as you
all.
said, you didn't really clock it, and I also only clocked it when I listened to it like on repeat.
Yeah.
But at some point I was like, hey, no, something's going on there. Okay, okay, cool.
Yeah, I
That's
had
this
that in a
cool
few
thing.
themes as well, especially with the Nakano tracks. Is it in the remake as well? I mean,
Maybe.
Probably. Let's listen to it at the beginning. Oh,
Yes,
it moves
it's
left and right.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's also there.
Mm-hmm.
Even more prominent, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like once you hear it, it's hard to unhear it.
True.
Like it gets more prominent once you realize that it's there.
Everywhere here. No, it just seems like... Okay, no, it's not. I would just hyper-focus on like a dissonance. How's it in a remake? Just a really softer, way softer sound there.
Yes.
And also like with this left and right Leslie effect that you sometimes have on like the B9s, Hammonds, organ sounds.
Oh, you mean okay, yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. All right. You wanted to say something after that, I guess.
I mean, yeah, that's basically this thing for. I also kind of like that it just stays on this G basically again as the like bass note that goes throughout. But it always has this one. It stays on there.
True.
Step up there. But it stays. The strings add some more like harmonies in there.
One thing that's kind of weird is the bell. It's such a detuned bell sound. I just want to go back to this because that's not
True.
This is like again the old school sounds, but it sounds. The bell on top. It's because that's what the sounds kind of used to be. That they, to make them sound bell-ish, they had like certain overtones to make them sound bell-ish. I guess.
Okay.
And these started to stick out to me a lot. And this is another example because I think the remake it sounds cleaner. Yep.
True.
Really soft, and also the strings take over a bit more.
Yeah.
Or at all. It's just a little bit like of a glockenspiel.
Something like that. I'm always bad with those.
I think.
But yeah, it should be a glockenspiel.
Pronouncing German words English, although we know better. We're so eloquent. It's just like Tidus.
Yes, this is a hungry spirit animal.
All right.
And now we go from G to the C,
I really like this B part.
which basically for me is like the main part, I guess, because that's the theme.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, it's beautiful.
Especially like because it's such a stark contrast to the beginning. Because the beginning sounds not really unsettling, but like not reassuring. This sounds so reassuring that Riku actually is like a person that's helping us.
Yeah.
Which I think is really translated nicely in this track.
I agree. Yeah, I just really like the melody. I think it's just a beautiful melody.
Oh yes. And this part. with
Yeah.
like this suspension with the strings coming in. That's so beautiful and peaceful again.
Lang cliche.
And now with like the bass coming in.
I am on the G.
And this atmospheric choir again.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we move a little bit in the like tonally. We move to basically A flat
Let's go back to
major. We have this A flat here.
Let's go back a bit. Where were we before? We started off.
Basically, we move in the realm of C for the like main melody part. We start in G.
So
Yeah, this part is like
basically all in C all the time.
the beginning. Yes, it
Yep.
starts to move here.
Oh yeah. All right.
Sixth step, fifth step, and back to C again. Then the fourth, then cool E minor, which I like, which is the third step, and then we're in the right, we go to A, then to the first time the E flat, and to the G, and then we don't go back to the C, which one would suspect from the G. We go the half step up.
So that's like a modulation there?
Yeah, you can say that, basically, because the A flat is not a part of the C major scale, which we were in before.
True. Because like C major is all white.
Exactly. Exactly.
True.
And so yeah, we move here, but now we're again on the G in the end, which is the fifth step for the C major, and we go back, like the dominant. The fifth step is always the dominant.
Yep.
It always has the strong pull back towards the tonal center, like the first step.
Which is also basically like what is heard in most of like pop music and chart music
Yes.
in our realms, basically.
Yes.
So it's like this 1-4-5-1, is it?
That's like the most classical cadence you
Yeah.
can have. Cadence is just some
Resolution, kind of?
not really like it's a progression of chords basically.
Okay.
But like yeah, you have the 1-4-5 cadence and other cadences as well. 2-5-1 is for jazz and all that stuff. But yeah, 1-4-5 is like this. You have the first step, fourth step, fifth step, usually with the 7. And that's
For a
just
bit
like
of a
this-
tension.
Yes.
Yep.
And then you have the pull back to here, which is like that's I think the musical chord progression that is most ingrained, even for people who just never heard anything about music theory. But that's something at least in the Western sphere, you just recognize and you just know.
Axis of Awesome wants to know your location.
I guess yes. But yeah, I kind of like this moving around a little bit, going to the A sharp, A flat for the B part, and then just back to the C, and also which is like the string melody.
Yep.
That's what they do, which is also like
That's
it's
pretty.
it's pretty. It's not as catchy maybe or as poignant as the main melody. Da, 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 da. It's just
Yep.
something that gets stuck in your head very easily.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I also like this like as a little bit of a contrast to that okay, in the B part we go to a different key and we have this string arrangement that has a melody that you can recognize but not necessarily as catchy as the
Yeah.
first one, and then we move back to okay. And also I like as in the whole surrounding of the game at this point, because the B part for me maybe more or less represents the more unsettling thing.
Are we talking about the same B part? Because for me, like the intro is the A part.
Oh, yeah, then we're talking about a different thing. For me, the B part
Okay,
is
then you
like
mean
the
the third part that comes up in the song.
yes,
Okay.
the one in A flat.
Yeah. All right.
That for me is the B part because I always like the main theme is the E part. I guess that's a
That makes sense.
jazz thing that's in my
It
head.
makes way more sense for me. It's like, okay, it starts with A.
Which also you can do. Like this happens again. That's the tangent we don't have to go into. But
Let's leave my logic out of this.
You can make up your own rules. But yeah, what I wanted to say, the for me B part, your C part, to confuse everyone who's listening.
So people know which it is.
For me, kind of represents the more unsettling part, maybe, because like of
What is it?
the one is
Yeah.
because we have this movement from the.
I'm just gonna look for it real quick. Yeah, there it is. So that's a B part. Your B part.
Yes, for me that's the B part. Because here it has like it only has this chromatical movement at the beginning in the chords, down to G.
Also
here, G minor. Then we go to the F.
I also like the movement of the bass. It's quite
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. And yeah, basically it just tries to move back to the G part, to the G chord, so we can get back to C. But yeah, this part, the A part for me is like this very friendly, homey feeling.
Definitely.
It feels warm
It does.
in a way.
It's just a welcoming thing.
Yes.
Which Riku as a character really portrays.
Yes, and the B part for me represents more of this, okay, but this is still weird in a way for him to be like on this ship and everyone outside of Riku doesn't treat him too well.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you go down, you stay out. Screw you. We don't like you.
Yeah,
I'll let you
basically.
know. We don't trust you, especially, is what I feel like is the main thing.
Because they also don't understand. Riku's the only person who understands.
Exactly.
Which is also like, I totally get that, because Tidus is a completely weird stranger who can't communicate, and they thought that he was like a monster.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, I basically just spoiled what they said. But yeah, they just, I mean, she says it actually.
I think so, yeah.
We were a fiend. That's what she says.
True.
So
Yeah,
basically,
you were a fiend, right. But yeah, those are like those two parts that represent what they also is going on in the story. Like I like how it's done in a way that's not too on the nose.
Yeah.
In a way, because it still blends together very well.
It does.
But it has both parts in it, and the beginning is like a mixture in a way, like the intro part.
It doesn't really say a lot. There's a little bit of this dissonance, which kind of works with what you just said as well. I love the triangle.
Yeah. That's cool, yeah.
But it also kind of, with like the acoustic guitar, it kind of fits together with Tidus' theme as well.
Yeah.
Which kind of is kind of a cool way to make a connection, maybe. It was probably completely unconscious, but...
Possible, yes. Might be a stretch to get to like a intentional level, but and now we're here. And of course, yeah, rhythmically the intro resembles that theme. Just da 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 da.
It does.
It's very similar.
But I also feel like this part, it doesn't only sound happy. It has this like interesting, longing, melancholic kind of vibe as well.
Yes.
Especially with...
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think to some degree that is achieved by, in the beginning, keeping it on the C all the time, where like the chords could move underneath, but they don't. Oh, they do actually. It goes from the C to the F, but it always has the C as the root note. No, it stays here. Yeah, it stays. And now we move down even in the bass. Like for the first part, it has always.
But I feel
C
like
as
this
a
part is the more like longing vibe to me.
Interesting.
This has like this, especially with this like suspension coming here.
Right? Yeah, I see what you mean.
And after this, we have, this is still not like resolved.
This. And then we don't go where we thought we would go, maybe.
Exactly. So I
Moving
feel
here.
like this is kind of such an interesting mixture between like the really homely vibe that Riku portrays, but also a really kind of longing vibe, which I really like.
Yeah, which also makes sense for the Albad, which we're gonna find out way more about them later in the game. They get way more fleshed out.
Yeah.
For now, they're just this people. Which apparently, like the only thing you know about them at this point is that apparently they're not too well liked by the general population, because one of the first things Riku says is, "You're not an Albad hater, are you?"
Yeah.
So
true.
apparently that's a common thing.
Apparently, yeah.
If that comes up that early. But yes, for my part, I think that's one of the most of the observations I had for this piece.
All right. Yeah, I just love the jammy kind of notion that, like, especially differences between the remake and the original. Let's go through the remake. I think we stayed with the original.
Yes.
Except for a little bit of the intro. Let's skip the intro a little bit. So we got like this.
Way more mellow. I said that before.
Mm-hmm. Also, we don't have the. No, we do have the guitar. It just sounds way more soft in the background again. We get the triangle really far back, unfortunately.
Okay, we have this Wurlitzer sound in a way.
That's what I was looking for, yeah. It's like this organ sound, way softer, but also like the left-right thing. Also, we have the harp.
True.
Instead of like the guitar?
I think it's something guitar-ish in the original. No, I think it's also a harp, but it's just
A low harp.
and it's way more synthetic sharp
Oh,
harp.
that's a harp as well, yeah. True.
It just sounds way softer in the remake.
Mm-hmm.
The glockenspiel again.
Yep. Like with the strings taking over the melody as well, which is in the original too? No, it's not.
No, the strings are not there, but the glockenspiel is way more up front.
The suspension here is not as strong. Like, not at all.
I find it interesting that here, the beginning of the phrase is only in the strings. And then the flute comes in, that's also in
Yeah.
the flute one in the original. This da 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 da.
No, it's not.
Damn it. You're right. Okay, yeah,
But
misremembered.
it just sounds way softer because it's
Yeah.
not this fade in. And the flute sounds way softer. And we have the like really soft choir here as well.
True, yes.
And now the thing that I actually wanted to talk about. We got the drums coming in here now,
Oh, okay.
which sounds quite different. I mean, there's no bass drum in there. Well, you could argue that like the synth does a bass drum as well. But you got like the hi-hat groove as well as like the rim of the snare.
Yeah.
It's not like hitting the snare, it's like only on the rim.
Yeah.
Which makes it sound way more jammy to me.
Mhm.
Like a bit of a like resolution vibe of people jamming together.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like that. But yeah, that's basically all that there is to say between the differences because there's not a lot. Just the sound choice is way softer and I like the jammy vibe of this. Yeah, that's basically all I gotta say with like the differences between remake and original. Alright. So I guess that's it for this track.
Yeah.
Then let's move on with the story.
Like we can we can come back to it at a later point to contrast it with the time when when the main theme comes up again as a character's theme later on, which, if I remember correctly, is little bit different in the arrangement, but we'll talk about it when
Most
we get to
likely.
it.
Yep, that's gonna take a bit. Alright, so after this scene, we got a little bit more
You said
Riku as a character, where she tries to basically help us
you play
again.
blitzball?
She's talking about like blitzball,
Uh-huh.
so basically she knows what
You
blitzball
know,
is.
you should go to Luca.
Yeah, apparently it's still a thing.
And
Someone might know who you are, or you might find someone you recognize.
she might, she
Luca?
wants to help us going to
Ah.
Luca. This reaction. I love that. That was such a great moment in her voice acting. And I love the way she's running around there. It's like, she's thinking, what do we do?
Frantically
then, like,
pacing.
She's like 15, so I really like the way she's
Leave
acting
it to
there.
me. I'll get you to Luca. Promise.
And she's really nice to us for some reason.
You'd rather stay here?
Uh-uh.
Okay, I'll go tell the others. Wait here. Oh,
And this
and
is
one
important.
thing. Don't tell anyone you're from Xanarkand, okay? Yevon says it's a holy place. You might upset someone.
Oh.
That's basically a lot of information. at
In like the
once.
first few minutes, like first hour of the game,
Yeah.
which is back to this intensity
Yeah.
that's happening. So basically, yeah, we're not supposed to
My
tell
Xanarkand?
people And he's talking
Some
about this
kind
now.
of holy place?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right, I thought.
I love this voice acting.
Since when?
Also, his genuine reaction to this.
Yevon? Sin?
All those
Luca?
names thrown
I
at
thought
him.
Sin just took me to a faraway place. That I can go back in a day or two. But 1,000 years into the future?
We're like reflecting.
No way!
Nope, not gonna accept that.
Whoa, whoa!
And he seems way fucking strange.
Yes.
And now, just a little bit, you can also see a little bit of foreshadowing what's gonna happen here. Ever realized that?
Oh, yes. No, I never saw that.
You can see like the big sphere of water right here.
Yeah.
It took me an eternity because I think I just paused on this for some reason and I was like, wait! This is like, I mean, it's gonna happen like in a second. As soon as I press play, it's gonna happen. But you can now think about what that might mean. Surprise. Also, we got like the enemy attack theme again, which I think is a pretty cool choice here. Because this symbolizes like the boss fight. We're going to fight. But we're not. So yeah, Sin is coming. And Sin is attacking the ship. And we're getting ready to fight it. But nope, not gonna happen. Just pushing us off the edge into the depths. Music cutting off again with the slow motion effect, just the sound effects. And like basically these people were caring about us because they were looking like after us. It's not like they don't care at all. If we take a look at this again, which is I think pretty interesting because it's not just Riku that comes here, it's the others as well. I mean, maybe they're just looking if Sin's there or whatever. And then we got this whirlwind kind of thing that pulls us into the next area of the game.
Into the vortex.
Alright, so next we are seen facing face down in the water, which is also one of the reasons why I talked about like this breathing thing, because him being a blitzball player, blitzball players are trained to hold their breath for a long time. And I think even one NPC here in this area talks about this, that this might be the reason that he was saved. And like you can hear seagulls and beautiful waves. And this is just such a beautiful looking place. And we get hit in the head by what just happened.
By our most familiar and favorite thing in the world.
Yes.
Blitzball!
We recognize this. Yay!
And one of the coolest theme starts.
The blitz.
Hey!
I just love this theme. I didn't even recognize we heard it before.
No.
You had to point this out to me. And we see his like famous shot that he did in the intro. Cool cutscene there. And this guy.
Also, really smooth transition to the rendered scene.
Oh yes, I really like that. And he seems quite impressed with us. And we swim towards him and get to know this guy a little bit and the others as well. So let's just talk through the scene a little bit and then let's go into the theme, I guess, right?
No, they share our yellow
Yo,
in the
Hiya.
clothing. And
I also
also
like his reaction. Hi. Sorry for
Try
that.
that move. One more time.
apparently we impressed them.
I like.
finally.
I love the way
Things
he's
were
read.
starting to look up.
Yes, I know this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Something's familiar.
Yeah.
And these people think I'm cool. Finally. Riku didn't.
I'm a star again.
Yeah, Riku was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Who are you? What do you think you do? And this is like, does nobody care about getting the blitzball back? Do you have to swim back every time? Because he does it like 3 times.
You know amateur. Who you play for?
And another really interesting,
Xanarkin
he was just told not to tell people about Xanarkin. And he does it
I guess
again.
Old habits die hard.
And everybody's like,
What team you say
really
again?
irritated.
I meant, forget that.
Never mind.
I got too close to Sin, and my head's all foggy like.
So we got this
I don't
excuse.
know where this place is, or even where I came
And like
from.
him being like really down.
Since toxin got to
But
you.
yeah, apparently it's a very normal
But
thing.
you're
Like,
still
but
alive.
immediately accepted.
Praise be to Yevon.
Oh yeah, since toxin. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and especially like him from like being really irritated to, oh, I'm so sorry
All
for
right,
you.
back
I'm
to
gonna help you
practice.
out.
And we also have the first. I think that's the first time that the
Coach and
connection
captain of the
between
St. Aurochs, brother.
the gesture that they do for Praise Be Yevon, which we already saw in the very beginning of the game.
Did we see it? We did
Yeah,
see it.
yeah, he does it.
I mean, the explanation comes in a bit, right?
Yeah, true. But it's like, this is the first time we get to see someone who paid attention, maybe like, oh, okay. This apparently lasted over 1,000 years.
There's something about this, right?
What? You hungry? Okay, back to the village. I'll get you something.
And I mean, Waka is such a bro there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially also with the way he talks. I mean, his voice, I get why people could be conflicted about him voice acting like this, but I just really like it. And now he's like,
I felt like I could trust this Waka.
Waka seems
so
trustworthy.
I just had to ask.
He wants to know what we could
Now,
just told him.
It's true Xanarkand was destroyed, right? 1,000 years ago? So it's just a big pile of rubble now.
Okay, but
isn't it?
we are going to stop here because the next theme is going to come up in a bit.
True.
So we got another
No.
theme that Nobu Uematsu composed. So let's move over to Cubase once again and go on to the next theme. Which is not this one, which is this one, the Blitzers. So first things first, it's basically kind of the same thing in Japanese, just a little bit different. It's called like Buritsu ni kakeda otoko tachi, which means men who bet on Blitz.
Okay.
Kind of the same thing, but like a bit more dramatic, I guess.
The man who bets on Blitz.
Yeah, they're men. And yeah, do you want to start? Or should I say something?
Nothing. You can start with this one because there's not too much to say for me, I think.
All
Since it's basically a Tidus theme remix. In
So
a
that's
more,
kind of
like,
what I just wanted to say.
heroic fashion.
Yeah. Because this is the first time that like a leitmotif actually is shown to be a leitmotif. Because we have heard this main theme before. Start off with the original. We have this little bit of an intro. Da, 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 da. And this move into it. And now Tidus theme. Da, 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 da.
They're in the same key? Yeah, again in C.
And it's such a cool, chill remake. With
Yeah, again, he likes his like triangles in the background.
And I like the movement that it gained.
Yeah.
Because the other one was like the campfire, really melancholic vibe. And
Yeah, with the steady beat under
really
it.
driving force right there. And everything going a bit bigger here.
Yeah, the brass
Theme
coming
going,
in.
Yep. Theme going into like the trumpet right there. With bigger drums as well.
The marching drum also coming in.
Yep. And let's let it play. I mean, we heard it before, but
But I also find it funny that just via the very different arrangement and very different surrounding, it also like I didn't immediately recognize that this is Tidus' theme.
I didn't at all. I was asking you.
Yeah.
When I was looking for all the leitmotifs, I was like, is Tidus theme gonna cut up anywhere? And just, yeah, sure. Like, Blitzball theme? Hello? I was like, oh, right.
But it took me some time as well. To really
And this is also kind of
figure
cool
it
with this,
yeah, I
with
love
like the
that one.
cats and because I'm pointing this out because I think this is one of the things that is not actually. I mean, if we're here right now, let's go into it because it's not in there in the remake. True. Not even really. Maybe there is somewhere far in the background that I don't hear it at all, which
No.
I think is a shame because I love that. This is such a happy, upbeat.
True.
Okay, it does sound really goofy. I'm
Yeah,
gonna give you that, but I like it. I
And
like
also,
it.
Goofy fits Tidus.
It does. It also fits like the whole vibe of
Yeah.
like the adventurous blitzball thing. It's just not in there at all.
True.
It sounds way more regal, but I'll come back to that. Let's go back to the very beginning because I feel like also the beginning is cool. Not really too much different, but it has a different vibe to me. Because this sounds really adventurous to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like an adventure about to start, and there we go. Which perfectly fits the scene as well. Because we had like this, what is going on? Blitzball, yes, bam,
Yeah.
let's hit it. I am home again, kind of.
Yeah, I'm in my element.
And also, if we listen to the remake, it has a similar vibe, but way more down.
Yeah, way more subdued.
The whole thing, it sounds with like the brass and everything. It sounds way more like regal and kingly in a way,
Yeah, I agree.
but it doesn't sound as adventurous. Listen to this.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Is a triangle also not the remake?
No, it's not there at all.
Yeah.
Is the snare in the original?
Nope.
Nope. Triangle. Oh, there is.
Oh yeah, now it comes
But
in.
different. And especially
And now it's here. Like now it's very present.
we have like this little harp transition here, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And like it sounds even bigger and even more regal. Which, in like a later part in the game, it makes a lot more sense why it does sound so regal. Which
True.
I am going to give points to the remake there, I'd say. But in this scene, I do prefer the original. It's so much more fun. And like this part sounds totally different to me in the remake. It's such a way more grandiose, way more open, way more. Do I want to say? No, I'm gonna mention this part again the next time this theme comes up, where this whole like big kind of thing makes way more sense, and also this transition is way stronger in the remake, which I like. I
We have
really
this
like
big
this.
Whoosh.
Yes. But this part is really, really good in the remake.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel like this is where the remake really shines. And now, going back to the themes, this is done really, really nicely. If you go to this part again in the original, we got the meow, the cat, and then this is so weak here.
True. Yes.
I mean, it does it have like this harmony thing when this first to have the bass coming in, like really far back and not strong at all, and there's a harmony over that then. So first we got this.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like-
It's harmonized. Yeah.
Or whatever. Let's see if that's in a remake as well, because I think it's not. Because I think it sounds kind of weird. Nope, I can't hear it there.
No.
Which makes this part shine a bit more, because it does sound more unsettling in the original. I mean, you can't really hear it too much,
Yeah.
since this is so weak, but... I mean, it's at the edge of being playful, but kind of weird. But I really like, for most of the part, as I said, I prefer the original, because it does sound way more playful, which I think, especially in this scene, fits way better.
Yeah, I agree.
But triangle again. But this is so much more playful. But then again, like if we go back, especially to this part, it sounds so much more like big and open and like an introduction, which you could argue fits this scene because it's an introduction into like this really like chill kind of world, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I missed the cat.
Yeah. A part of me now. No, it's not there. I think I just want to imagine it being somewhere in there, trying to get.
I love this. I love
That
this.
is
This climbing
very
part
good.
is so good because you don't expect it, and now it's starting, and now
Especially with the like, just like
this is so great.
just the whoosh in the background and all that. It's
Also, like with the like
cool.
counter melodies and everything, the high strings after like the transition. Now in this C part or whatever, counter melodies in the brass up top.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. Da-da-da. I always love when there's like a second melody over the main melody as well, because that's like a little bit to like extend the melody without actually like realizing, and I don't think that's in the original. We have the high strings, obviously. It might be there. Nah, don't think it is. There's
Not
a
really.
little bit of movement in the upper
Yeah.
brass, but it's so far back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Not nearly to the extent, at least.
I mean, which version do you prefer? Do you have a preference?
Hard to say for me. Really hard to say for me at this point because, like, I mostly agree with you that like the remake has this more regal theme and is like this more kingly, more grandiose in a way.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, especially for where it's used here, I guess I have to say in this scene, I prefer the original, just because the playfulness and the wonkiness, I guess, of some things just fits.
It's got more charm.
Yeah, because this feels like a grand entrance, which basically this is not.
Well,
in the game.
Kinda, you could argue that it kind of is because
it's a grand entrance on a very small scale.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, his backflip shot, the sphere shot thing is really
very cool.
And it's always like a grand entrance when you do that, I guess. But yeah.
But it's like 7 people watching.
Fair point. And as you can see, like when you watch the players play, they're easy to impress.
Yes.
They're trying to like do the same thing and it just fall flat on their back.
No.
So they're not really good players with trying to do this. All right.
But yeah, there are definitely parts to like really like about the remake. Like, as you said, the transition and those things, like
Call and answer thing.
Cool. Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, and the counter melodies and that stuff. So, it's hard for me to pick like a clear favorite. I don't think I have a clear-cut favorite.
Yeah.
And also, I can never tell because I heard the original version so many times.
Yeah.
That the part of me is always going to be like, I don't know, this feels more familiar. So,
yeah,
I was going to be drawn to it to a certain extent. If not, like, only if the remake is like way, 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 way better, then of course it's going to stick out for me. But I think there's going to be a tendency on my part to be like, yeah, I don't know, original, I guess.
Yeah, I might sometimes. I mean, for me, it's quite hard to say. Once again, I would say this is like a decision that like the sound supervisor, composer, supervisor, whoever has to decide, because both of them have a different vibe and both of them have their place.
Yeah.
Again.
And I mean, as is often the case, the remake, it does sound way more, I don't want to say like modern, way more polished in a way.
It does, of course.
But yeah, sometimes I'll just like the more synthy in your face arrangements of the original one.
Yeah, it's fun. I get it. I get it. All right.
Basically, now we're on the way to the village.
Yeah, but first, like we just asked Walker about the like Zanarkand and the 1,000-year thing, if that is true, because apparently he does seem trustworthy. So we are going to ask him again because Riku was nice to us, but we are still not like necessarily sure if that is true. If she tells the truth, if she might be a lie or whatever, we don't necessarily know yet. So we are asking Walker this thing again, and he
also basically we just got transported by Sin again, so
yeah,
we can't even be fully sure that this is like the same time. We might just have been transported another 1,000 years.
That's true.
Which we don't, but
yeah. And now Walker's gonna explain quite a bit with the next theme coming up.
Long time ago, there were a whole lot of cities
which
in
I think
Spira.
is a really
Big
cool
cities
theme.
with machina, machines to run them. People
So
played
we got
all
the
day,
explanations
let the
of
machina
big
do the
cities
work.
and machines,
And
machina
then,
doing the work,
well,
people getting
take a
lazy,
look. Sin
and more
came
chill,
and destroyed the
and then
machina cities.
Sin coming, destroying these
Zanarkand
cities
along with
because
him.
people just
Yeah,
didn't
that
want
was
to
about
work
1,000
anymore.
years ago. Just like you said. If you ask me, Sin's our punishment for letting things get out of hand. What
And
gets
yeah,
me though, is we gotta suffer because of what some goofballs did way back when.
Walker explaining
Of course,
that
we
the
must
things
always
happened
repent for
before,
our sins.
they
That's
still have to
important.
repent.
It's just that it's hard to keep at it sometimes, you know?
It was just as Riku said.
And we got the
Waka
same
and
explanation
Riku
basically.
couldn't both be lying.
Why should they both
Why
be
would
lying
they?
to us? But I just love Walker as a character. This is such a
You
cool
from the
introduction.
Zanarkand days, that was a good one, huh?
Especially with like this bro kind of hug, yeah.
I'm not saying that team never existed, yeah? But you gotta figure, a team living in luxury like that be pretty soft, eh?
I appreciated the fact that Waka was trying to cheer me up. But at that time, all I could think about was everything that happened to me. All this started with Sin. Maybe if I could find Sin one more time, I could go home.
I think
For now, I just live life until that time came. No more worrying about where or when I was.
I really like this. This
Sure,
is
it was hard not to think of home.
such a great
but I started to
character
feel
development.
better already.
Yeah, just accept
A little
it.
better.
Okay, I'm here.
Maybe.
I'm gonna play the hand that I was dealt.
Yeah, I really like that because he was just really angry before. Like, this can't be happening. No, I can't be like 1,000 years in the future. What the This is like completely destroyed by what Riku basically just told him. Now he gets told the same thing again, and he's just gradually starting to accept it, which I think is really cool character development. So first he was like reflective about the whole thing, but then it's like 17 years of, no, this can't be true. Why? What? This is impossible.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to reflect even more. And I think like the whole explanation together with this theme works really well. This is such an interesting, like melancholic, sad sad story theme, I'd say. And it works really well with the explanation that Walker gives, as well as like Tidus slowly getting into like accepting what happened.
Yeah. It's to a certain degree, this is like his character arc in a way. It's like, okay, you're thrown in here, now deal with that and try to figure out what you can do with where you are.
Exactly.
And figure out who you are along the way.
We gotta fulfill some cliches along the way, don't we?
I
mean,
should say so.
And back then, the cliches weren't as strong already. They were just being established already. These like really cheesy character tropes of like.
I mean, they were around.
Of course, but not
Definitely
as
were
like
around.
overplayed as they are now, right?
Maybe.
I mean, there wasn't as much media around at that time, anyways.
At least not as omnipresently. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
That's kind of the only thing I wanted to argue for. All right. So, should I start? Do you want to start?
Going on with Beside?
No, this theme. We gotta talk about this theme first.
Wait, which one's coming out?
We just have...
The Blitzers?
No, this is one that comes up really late. This is called Wandering. That's 77. For some reason, this theme in the soundtrack comes up way late. The one we just heard. The storytelling one.
Yeah, right. Oh, damn, where's that one?
Yes. Yeah, for some reason in the soundtrack, this is way back. It's number 77 in the remake one.
Down there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So, we just... Do you want to start or should I start?
I'll give you the go.
All right. So, once again, first of all, let's listen to the original because we just heard the remade version. So, everything starts off with like this really lush pads again. These really atmospheric pads, similar to the ones we had before. This a bit like Donkey Kong Country-ish sounding pads, but a bit more tonal.
Agree.
A bit more
That's
of
cool.
this like mouthy, bloopy kind of thing again. And this does have a bit of a choir vibe again, but like a really sad choir. Also with this flute thing. Looking for the... And once again, this is another theme. It does have a melody, but it's not the focus. This little bits and pieces here and there with like the low flutes, whatever kind of flute that was, coming in again.
Maybe that should have been a clarinet or an oboe, I guess.
Probably. There it comes in
Yeah.
again. With just a little bit of melody here and there, but again, not a focus on melody.
Yeah,
This one sounds quite jammy.
Yeah, quite improvisational. Somewhat of a, like, what you might expect to be a jazz solo.
Kinda, yeah. But it's not really... I mean, it's the thing that catches your attention the most, but it's still not really something that sticks in your mind as much as other themes do.
No, because especially since it's very improvisational. It doesn't really have like a melodic through line through the whole thing. It's just like these bits and pieces of melodic ideas.
And I also really like how sometimes it's a bit more attacky. So by attacky, I mean basically... Now it's kind of really soft.
Yeah, very smooth.
And like fading in and out a little bit. But then in the parts before... especially when like the more jammy part we just talked about, when that one comes in, it's a lot like more da 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 da. So
Yeah,
sometimes
way
this
more.
has a little bit of like a percussion vibe, because there's no percussion in there at all. But with the attacky, it's a little bit of like the percussion that you don't have in the track, which I think is also kind of cool.
Yeah, it gives it a
And
little bit
again,
of a
these-
rhythmic structure.
This really distant, watery kind of synth that just carry a certain kind of sadness that I really like.
I agree. Yeah, also the way the melody is improvised is really reminiscent of like a jazzy solo, on which tensions of the chord he focuses on and all that.
If we listen to the remake now, because this was the original we just listened to, let's start off with already.
You have this very crystal.
Yes, really shimmery kind of
Yeah.
reverb, which sounds a bit like these bells,
The wind. Shit. What's the English word?
chimes,
Chimes. Thank you.
and everything way more back. Listen to the string chords as well. The strings here especially. Next chord,
When they are chords.
but so much dissonance there again. Not there. This is a bit more consonant.
Yeah, the remake feels way more noisy.
Especially with like this little bit of a gong. Yeah. That in there again. This I really like. It's kind of similar to like the watery vibe it had before. There. This chord.
Yeah,
For example.
right.
That just has...
Yeah, but this feels way more airy
Yep.
in a way.
because it's so far back. But it's quite dissonant. I don't know what it is. Oh, that like that. I don't know. But there's quite a bit of like these dissonant chords thrown in there here and there again, which is another thing he tends to do quite a bit. I think it like perfectly captures.
Who composed that one? I don't
This
think we
was
said.
Nakano? No, Hamauzu this time.
That's a Hamauzu.
That's a Hamauzu. That's first Hamauzu, I think.
Is it? I have to look through it.
Yeah, whatever. But this is a Hamauzu track, which actually sounds quite similar to the style of Nakano, which would make sense since Nakano stated Hamauzu as one of his biggest influences at Square.
Yeah. Also, the like claret oboe solo is also way more subdued in the background, not as like up front as in the original one.
Yeah. Which one do you like more?
In that case, the remake.
Same.
So definitely. It's like
Dissonance,
these things are so
dissonance.
interesting.
Yes. Back to this. How we just both react to this, like in the flow, and like this. Goldfish brain.
Just noise. It's like it's a very subdued noise, but there's no tonality to it at all.
It sounds like a really big gong far away or something.
No, for me, it's like hitting like some big piece of metal. Because
Yeah, which is like a
you
big
can't-
gong.
In a way, but a gong has more of like a tone to it.
True.
This is just like a gong, like hitting a baseball bat.
And I really like these because they sound like basically like reverse-ish water drops. I can really imagine like water drops going back up, like kind of like in the intro, a bit less dangerous than the intro, or like intro,
Less dramatic.
the otherworld metal theme kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the remake here. This captures such an interesting atmosphere with everything that track does. Such like perfect atmosphere it gives with this like really shimmery high end on top.
Yeah.
Sometimes these weird kind of dissonance-ish chords thrown in between, and these weird, completely out of place sounding metal hitting sounds in between. I really like what this track does, especially for like a really drum. There we got it again. You can hear it really clearly there. Let's go back to this a bit.
Yeah, just all tonality is lost at that point.
Which I think it's such a great theme to carry like this really reminiscent and like we have to atone for our sins kind of sadness in a way, but like an accepted sadness in a way that I think it carries really well.
Yeah.
In connection with this story at least, and like with Tidus accepting the whole thing as well. I really like the remake here. So this is probably like the first one where I'm really gonna argue that I really, really like the remake more.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just more like the original is not bad, you know,
Not at all.
but it's way more interesting, way more nuanced. It's just way more sonic details in it.
Oh yeah.
Like especially these sonic details I really like in the remake because yeah, it just gives it so much texture. It's really a lot of texture. Which
It does.
I always like.
Alright, let's move on.
Previously on today's episode, we learned a bit more about the weirdly dressed people called the Albad and their hospitality. We explored some underwater ruins accompanied by Nakano and got to know more about Riko and her leitmotif. Then we get transported face down to the beautiful island of Besaid, where we find romance in the character of Waka. Tidus' grand entrance on a small scale is underscored by a variation of his leitmotif called the Blitzers, as he impresses everyone with his sphere shot once again. Then Waka fills us in on the religious aspects of Spira to the somber sounds of wandering. But maybe that was just
Our humor's talking! In the next episode, we are basically gonna start off in Waka's chokehold as he tries to convince us to join his blitzball team. As we make our way to Besaid Village with a nice wet stroll, we get to know the theme of Besaid Island as well as the town's theme. Then we are also gonna encounter arguably the most important theme of the game, which is the religious theme, which is also diegetic to the world, meaning that the people of Spira can hear it too. We are also going to find the trials theme, which is played during most of the temple trials, which we're going to see in the next episode, and two more, one of them used as a flashback theme and another one that is also used for the main menu theme. So, thank you so much for watching.
and see you in the next one.
Bye!